Pole position for our combined race. Next up is the reigning Pre 2003 champion AJ Owen in his Honda Civic, and the Pre93 champion has qualified alongside him, David Griffin, the Australian-born driver, in his BMW. So the two champions will be sharing the front row. There was a bit of confusion in qualifying as well over who was driving the Jägermeister liveried orange number 9 BMW. I got it listed as Graham Myers. It's actually Ray West, who's been racing classic saloons for many years, mainly in BMWs. He's taken over Graham Myers' car this weekend. He's on the second row alongside Gary Preble in his Honda Civic. Third row, Don Hughes in his Peugeot 306, and Dean Forward in the beautiful Ford Sierra Cosworth, the Eggenberger Texaco replica. Fourth row, Dan Thackeray in his Honda alongside Andy Cripps in a BMW. Fifth row, Russell Dack in his BMW Compact alongside John Peerless in another Honda Civic. On the sixth row, we've got the first of the Pre93 Class A Jaguars, James Ram at the wheel of that one, the reigning Jaguar Enthusiasts Club Series champion, alongside Ross Craig in his Honda. The seventh row, Phil Wright in the Castrol Civic alongside Charles Coppock in his Jaguar XJS. Then the eighth row, Kerry Lewis and Cam Tunio, both in Honda Civics. Ninth row, two Jags, Michael Seaborn in the XJ40, David Howard in the XJ12. Behind them, on the 10th row, David Nixon with his Rover Tomcat, and Ben Mason alongside him in a BMW Compact, 11th row, we've got Vic Hope, number 51, with his Honda Civic, alongside Jamie Primmett in a similar car, mainly Honda Civics in the Pre03 category today. The 12th row, the Alfa Romeo 155 of Jamie Thwaites, alongside Ian Knight in a VW Golf. 13th row, Frank Pettit in a Renault Clio, alongside Mark Finney's Vauxhall Astra GTE. 14th row, Andy Sheraton in the Laser Tools liveried BMW E30, similar car of Jake Margulies alongside him. The penultimate row, Ian Bauer in his BMW, had a few problems in qualifying, I think. Alongside John Hillier. John Hillier in something a bit different, a BMW E36 Touring, yes, an estate car. Look out for that towards the back. 16th row, number 80, which is Phil Dicker in his Ford Fiesta, and 51, Mike Dugdale, not Vic Hope, clash of number there. It's Mike Dugdale, number 51, in his BMW, who had problems in qualifying. And on the back of the grid, we should hopefully see 114 Steve Barber. He didn't make it out for qualifying, unfortunately, so hopefully we can add him to the back of the grid. One car we won't see out, unfortunately, is the championship sponsor of the SimplyServiced Pre03 touring cars. The owner of SimplyServiced, Simon Beeman, we'd hope to see him out in his Escort RS 2000 Maxi. Unfortunately, he had an accident testing here at Silverstone during the week, and while Simon is okay, the car is not, sadly, so that car needing repairs ahead of the next round of the championship, and Simon's had to sit this weekend out, which is a great shame. I'm sure he's here this weekend lending his support to the championship, the series sponsor, through his business SimplyServiced, based down in Colchester. And before we get this race underway, have the cars out on track very shortly, I'll hand down to the pits for a couple of interviews with Steve Jameson.
All right, in the paddock with Ross Craig ahead of the CTRCs this afternoon. Ross, we walked into the paddock, and the first thing that struck us was the livery on this car. It's absolutely amazing. First of all, though, how did this morning go for you?
Yeah, it was mega this morning. It's the quickest I've ever been around here. We made a few changes over the winter. The boys at 10 Sport Performance did a cracking job on the car. I gave it to them before Christmas and picked it up. We went for a test a couple of weeks ago, and the car felt quick. This morning we went 2.5 seconds quicker than we've ever been around here, and the car felt like it was on rails. It was sideways everywhere, but it was handleable, manageable. Looking forward to the race this afternoon.
Well, I think it's just with all the Go Faster stripes that you've got on it. Hey, there's quite a few. Talk us through the story of this, because it's really distinctive, and it does make you stand out on the track.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we had a bit of a damage. We had a bit of an accident at Donington Park a couple of years ago. And the guys at 10 Sport then managed to turn the car around really quickly and get it out, but the problem was I had panels of 6 different colours on the car, and we needed to make it look a bit neater, so we managed to get it wrapped in the white and black livery on the front end to start with, and then over a couple of weeks it went off to a company over in Swaffham called Uncle Luke's Silent Sticker Shop, who actually did the vinyl originally, and then from there we've really progressed into making the rest of the car the same, and making the helmet the same as well. So
And what are your expectations for this afternoon? Because I'd imagine the first thing is it's just nice to be back racing again. What are your hopes to get it out on the track?
Yeah, it's fantastic being out racing. I mean, we come away as a family. My dad races in Thunder as well, so we come away as a family racing. So it's nice to spend some time with the family primarily. But secondly, you know, I'm just looking to hold on to the car, make sure we don't make any silly mistakes. No, the top 10 would be nice. Somewhere in the top 5 of the class would be nice. But you know what, it's just so nice being back out in the car and back out on the circuit. Just being out there on the circuit's great. So
I wish you all the very best luck.
Thank you very much.
Well, if this car looks familiar to you, that's because we saw it in the Jags yesterday, but the Pre93 today, a busy weekend for you, Richard.
Yeah, no, it's nice to try and get as much track time as possible, especially when haven't been racing for so long. Yeah, we got a good deal to be invited to this series as well. Yeah, different mix of cars out there, which is good fun.
How did yesterday go for you in hindsight?
Yesterday it was really fun. The second race was brilliant. I still my tyres were going off a bit, but just had a great battle. There's 3 of us going 3 abreast rounds on the corner. There's 3 Jags going round corners together. It's a bit hairy. But today, unfortunately, my dad wasn't racing today, so I picked his tyres, which are better. So in qualifying, I've gone about 2 seconds quicker. So it proves my point that my tyres were going off. They didn't believe me.
No, you're always right when it comes to that son-dad relationship. It's something that's really special and something we see all the time. How nice is it to come racing with the family again?
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, the last few years I haven't been able to do that much racing because my work has got in the way of it. But this year there's quite a few rounds I can do, so I'm looking forward to it. And some more good races with my dad.
I wish you all the very best luck for this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate. Best of luck.
Good to hear from a couple of the drivers there. Marshall's on the grid, so the cars will be coming out very shortly. We've given you the grid for the Laser Tools Pre93 touring cars and SimplyServiced Pre03 touring cars. It's had a message come in from Ava Turner. Hello to you, Ava, who's supporting her brother Ollie Turner, racing in the VW Racing Cup today. I'll be out to the race after this, the Maximum Networks Volkswagen Racing Cup, and Ollie has set class pole in that race, fastest of the Volkswagen Racing Cup cars on his debut, the former Ford Fiesta racer and ex-Fiesta Junior champion. We'll hear from Andy and Paul, their commentary team, a little later on after this race. So good to hear from you, Ava, watching with her boyfriend Zach down in Worcestershire. Good luck to Ollie in his race a little later on. Sun shining on Silverstone then, the cars being led to the grid at the moment. AJ Owen on pole, looking to retain his Pre03 touring car title. Won it by a fairly clear margin last year ahead of Simon Beamont. Third in their points was Steve Barber. Hopefully we'll see him out at the back of the grid. He's raced various classic touring cars before, including a Ford Anglia and a what's the car he raced? A Renault Clio in the old Pre05s as well. There's Vic Hope, the black and Dayglow Civic there, regular at Brands Hatch for many years. Alfa Romeo. Mark Finney's Astra GTE. There's the Laser Tools liveried BMW of Andy Sheraton. We saw his son Michael racing his Ford Anglia yesterday. Had a few problems with the Anglia, unfortunately, though. Steve Barber has made it out there. He is the black Civic. Just behind that bizarre BMW Touring. Yes, a racing estate car. Looks like we are missing a couple of cars. Looks like Phil Dicker's Fiesta, man from Dorset, is not there. And Mike Dugdale, who had problems in qualifying with his BMW, is a non-starter as well. Hope you're all enjoying the action. There's still over 1,000 viewers on our YouTube stream. Hello to Phil Kinch, who's just tuned in. He's at Silverstone today covering the TCR touring cars. Been able to read out just a couple of your messages, but the comments often moving so fast we can't read them out. We've got over 1,000 likes, though, as we said earlier. Colin Porter says good luck to all the JEC Racing guys. That's the Jaguars. They were in their own championship yesterday. Okay, cars are on the grid. The red and black Honda Civic of AJ Owen. Livery based on the Hondas of the early 2000s in British touring cars, alongside the Diet Coke BMW of David Griffin. England v Australia on the front row of the grid. The two champions moving into line, that gorgeous Texaco Sierra of Dean Forward, very experienced historic racer. Likes his big V8s, does Dean. It's in the Cosworth today, watch for that spitting flames. Second row, 191, the King of Castle Combe, as some call him, Gary Preble, with his Honda Civic. Good to have him here, alongside Ray West, driving Graham Myers' number 9 Jägermeister BMW. Third row, Don Hughes in the Peugeot 306, alongside Dean Forward. Then the fourth row, Dan Thackeray, the white and green Honda Civic, and Andy Cripps in the green BMW. Completing the top 10 on the grid, Russell Dack in the BMW Compact, the black and day-glow yellow car, and John Peerless in the blue and white Honda Civic, the regular in the Civic Cup over the last few years. First of the Jags is behind them, that's James Ram. 2 second places for him yesterday behind Tom Robinson. Tom not out in the Pre93 touring cars. Taking quite a while to line up this sizable grid. Ross Craig, we heard from pre-race in the black and white camouflage liveried 169 Honda, is down there. There's a gap alongside Charles Coppock, I think. Now, who should be there? I think that should be Phil Wright. Now, I thought I saw his Castrol Civic on the way to the grid, so hopefully he is there. Steve Barber at the back. Missed qualifying, unfortunately, with the black Honda Civic. We'll wait the all clear. We'll see the marshal at the back of the grid wave the green flag when the grid is clear and everybody is happy. Okay, looks like we are in position then. Green flag waves at the back, waiting for the red lights to come on. They do so, and they go out. We will be underway and racing. Off they go. Down towards the first corner. Good start by AJ Owen. Good start by Charles Coppock in the white XJS as well. Honda versus BMW down towards the first corner. Which of them is going to be leading? It should be the BMW. Yes, David Griffin's just got his nose in front as they head up towards Village for the first time. Looks like everybody is away cleanly. Good start by Gary Preble in his Honda as well, but it is AJ Owen who has got the lead. It's the Honda that leads ahead of Griffin, Preble and Ray West in the number 9 BMW. The orange Jägermeister liveried car there in 4th place. Griffin on the inside, side by side with Gary Preble. 5th is number 33. A good start there by Andy Cripps from the 4th row of the grid up into 5th. Phil Wright is there. There's the Castrol Civic. It's a wonderful variety of cars, once again provided by the Classic Touring Car Racing Club as they head down towards Stowe Corner for the first time. AJ Owen has the lead. Look at Ray West coming through in the number 9 BMW up into 2nd place by the look of it. Cars large and small overlapping in the midfield. Around the outside there, Ian Bauer. Now, he had problems in qualifying, the red BMW. He's a former Pre93 champion, so watch for him coming through. Bit of damage possibly there on the back of one of the BMW compacts. That might be the Ben Mason car. Maybe he's taken a knock. Looked like a tyre fouling the wheel arch. They complete the first lap then, and it is AJ Owen who leads the way. The first of the Pre03 touring cars, leading the Pre93s. Ray West in 2nd. It's Preble, Griffin, Cripps. 6th position is the Cosworth of Dean Forward. There's 27 Charles Coppock, leading fellow Big Cat tamer Michael Seaborn. Don Hughes didn't get the best of starts in the 306 there, just making his move back up the order. Down in 7th at the end of that lap, but he's got past Dan Thackeray by the look of it. Yes, he has. There they are. Russell Dack behind him, the former Kumho Tyres BMW Championship winner. Ross Craig sliding the Civic around there, number 169. Watch for that Cosworth of Dean Forward. He was 6th at the end of lap 1 in this 15-minute race. Ross Craig under fire. Watch for the big Jaguars coming through. James Ram on the inside. David Howard in the XJ12 was down the outside there as well. There is Howard. Doesn't quite manage to get past Ross Craig. Ian Bauer starting to carve his way up the outside. There's that lovely Alfa Romeo 155 of Jamie Thwaites, regular in the Alfa Romeo Championship. British Touring Car fans will of course be familiar. Gabriele Tarquini winning the British Touring Car Championship in
managed to navigate
in 1994. Over the line they go to complete their 2nd lap. Owen from West. Fastest lap of the race though by Gary Preble, 1:14.096, trying to close in on our 2 leaders. And up the inside, Ray West takes the lead coming out of Village, but Owen back up the inside. Well, this is going to be close. very close indeed there, through Village towards the link, and then up towards Beckett's. West's got the inside, the BMW holds it, but it doesn't matter for AJ Owen. Not only is he in a different class, he's in a different championship, the Pre03s, but he could lose out here to Gary Preble, who's going to try and make a move down the inside. Multiple Castle Combe saloon car champion at the circuit near Swindon, and he's going through up into second overall and into the lead of the Pre-2003 touring cars. David Griffin fourth, and they've dropped the rest of the field. There's Andy Cripps in the green BMW attacking Don Hughes, then it's the Cosworth. I keep going to say Jim McLaughlin because he used to race that car. It's Dean Forward in there, then it's Russell Dack, Dan Thackeray and John Peerless rounding out the top 10. Well, Ray West may not be in his own car, he's in the Graham Myers car this weekend, normally races a yellow BMW M3. Very experienced in all kinds of rear-wheel drive classic saloons. Ray, who's based at the Thruxton circuit in Hampshire, leads the way. Runs a car tuning business. AJ Owen up there in second place, the man from High Wycombe. Snaking a bit under braking there, he's back ahead of Gary Preble though. Good battle between the two Hondas. Griffin is fourth. Then it's Don Hughes going well in the Peugeot 306, a regular in the Tricolor Trophy series over the last few years for French cars. David Griffin snaking about a bit there in the Coke car. Second in a Pre93 and second in his class as well, Class B for the BMWs. The Alpha 155's also in that class. David Griffin, the Australian flag, proudly displayed on the window. Run by West Suffolk Racing. Hughes through in fifth, a flash of flame from Gary Preble's exhaust pipe there. Very spectacular cars indeed in this race. Ray West continues to lead, his lead gap was 0.6 of a second. About the same this time through, and another 0.6 of a second back is Gary Preble. Griffin in fourth place, then it's Hughes, Cripps, Dean Forward in the Sierra Cosworth 7th, aka Steve Soper. Russell Dack is 8th, then Thackeray, Peerless. James Ram has now got past Ross Craig further back in the order. There we see them come through, getting busy in the battle in the lower reaches of the top 10 there, coming through towards Beckett. So we look back at Ian Bauer. Where's he got up to? He's ahead of David Nixon in that now rare Rover Tomcats coupe now, up into 18th place towards the back of the grid. There go the leaders. AJ Owen still ahead of Preble, but only just. There's Don Hughes in a rather lonely 5th position now with 9 minutes of this race to go. Here's the battle. That's Dean Forward has got ahead of Russell Dack. Andy Cripps has dropped back a bit. There's Thackeray. Prep and lay BMW of Russell Dack. Then Andy Cripps. There's John Peerless. And behind them James Ram in the XJS, starting to catch them up. With that Texaco Sierra out there and the Motul XJS, anyone would think we were watching the European Touring Car Championship here at Silverstone back in the 80s. Exactly the sort of memories these cars designed to evoke in many cases. Newer cars in the Pre03s. There is Steve Barber, number 114, battling with Mark Finney in the Vauxhall Astra GTE. There's been a change at the front. The overall lead has gone to AJ Owen now. So AJ Owen has taken over. It won't matter in terms of points because they're in different championships, but Ray West has lost the lead. That was at the complex. Number 184, that is Ben Mason's BMW, chasing David Howard's Big Cat, the XJ12. He won the Pre93 touring cars yesterday. Ian Bauer continues his chase up the Ori. He's got Jamie Thwaites ahead of him now. There's that bizarre BMW estate car. Well, Volvo and Honda have done it in British touring cars, so John Hillier from Surrey said, why don't I try it? AJ Owen's got the headlights on because he's encountering back markers just to let them know he's there. So we reach half distance, just over 7 minutes to go. Owen from West, 0.8 of a second. The gap between Preble just 0.2 of a second further back. Then it's Griffin, Hughes, Forward, Dack and the rest of them. 1, 2, 3, AJ Owen, a multiple champion in the pre-2003 touring cars. We'll see his father Craig out in the Classic Thunder later on. Has a mistake there by Ray West. He slid wide coming out of Beckett's into Chapel, and Gary Preble could have a chance of second overall here. Won't matter for Ray because he's still leading the pre-93s. He's got to worry about David Griffin further back in 4th place. Their lap time's about the same at the moment. There is Griffin. Hughes in 5th overall, 3rd of the pre-03s. Through the Vale. It's that BMW decidedly tail happy, the E36 M3. Swing through to complete another lap. Had 7 laps in the book for the leaders. They've lapped Jake Margulies in his BMW E30 there, blue flag being shown to him. Here's a battle further back. There's Ian Bauer continuing to make his way up the order. He's ahead of the Honda of Carrie Lewis now. Michael Siebel, David Howard in their Jags, Nixon in the Rover. There's Vic Hope in 51, the Honda Civic. And Thackeray moving through, number 291 rather, in his Honda Civic, another Civic Cup competitor in the past. Again, real variety all down the order in this field. In the Silverstone sunshine. 1.5 seconds now the lead gap. AJ Owens pulling away as Dan Thackeray attacks Andy Cripps. Good scrap going on between those two. That's for 8th place. Kind of closing on Russell Dack for 7th. Cripps stays ahead in the green BMW. Then we've got James Ram. He's going well up into 9th now. He's got ahead of John Peerless. There he is in the Civic, and then we've got Ross Craig. There's that bizarre camo liveried car. A lap down is 192 John Hillier in the estate car. Here's a battle between Phil Wright, Charles Coppock and Jamie Thwaites in the Alfa Romeo. 4.5 minutes of this race to go, near enough. Still AJ Owen leads the way. He's done the fastest lap of the race, 1:13.855 from the Honda. Here's the battle for 2nd. Ray West dancing the M3 around as he holds off Gary Preble. And Preble slipstream him here as they come down the hanger straight. They're coming up to lap Andy Sheraton in the Laser Tools BMW. The man from Lincolnshire moves aside, lets them through. Preble to the inside. He won't be close enough to attack the Jägermeister car this time. Jägermeister famous for their orange liveries in motorsport, on touring cars, in DTM, Group C sports cars, and of course in Formula 1 with the Eurobrunn team. Admittedly it didn't qualify for races very often, but it's had a nice livery. There is still a Eurobrunn, appears in historic F1 demonstrations occasionally at some historic racing events. Don't think it carries the Jägermeister livery though, sadly. David Griffin dropping back into 4th place in the Diet Coke car. The Australian BMW as we call it. Reigning Pre93 touring car champion. Frank Pettit's Renault Clio goes a lap down. Don Hughes still rather lonely in 5th in the Peugeot. Doing better fortunes than he did, as we said earlier, a few years ago when he rolled it at Vale Corner here at Silverstone. Managed to put it on its roof in qualifying. Down the hanger straight, battle for 2nd. Various classes in this race. Owen, West and Preble all leading their classes because Gary Preble in Class D, Owen in Class B. Dean Forward is leading Pre93 Class C. Pre03 Class C is Russell Dack. James Ram is leading Pre93 Class A, which is the Jags. Further back in the order, Pre93 Class D, that's being led by Andy Sheraton, and Class E by Jake Margulies. Ross Craig sideways, look at that! Driving it like he's in the Mini Miglias there, Ross Craig. Staying ahead of John Peerless though. Great battle between the Honda brigades here in the midfield. 2 minutes to go, And AJ Owen has stretched his lead to 3 seconds now. He's heading for victory. Ray West looking safe in the Pre93s in the BMW, as Dean Forward laps Mark Finney in the works-liveried Vauxhall Astra. Looks similar to the car that John Cleland won the British Touring Car title in back at the end of the 80s. Famous as a rally car as well, the Vauxhall Astra GTE. There's the second place battle. Very purposeful looking car of Gary Preble there, the Civic. There's AJ Owen up ahead, coming up to lap one of the back markers there. That's the BMW estate again, I think. Oh, AJ Owen had to go wide there over the curbs, I caught a glimpse of there. Trying to get round the back marker, he's done so. That could have been a bit dicey. Just over 1 minute to go, so we could be on the last lap now. It's going to be touch and go when they reach the line next time, whether we see the checkered flag or whether they do one more lap. AJ Owen then, clear of the Graham Myers BMW being driven by Ray West. It is going to be an overall win and a perfect start to his title defence for Alex AJ Owen. Can Gary Preble snatch second overall in the Civic? Ray West hanging on, he's going to win the Pre93s. He's clear of David Griffin in 4th place overall. Bonnet flapping there on David Nixon's Rover, we can see. He's had some contact somewhere. Down towards Stowe Corner. Preble a bit held up in the back markers there. I think he's dropped a couple of lengths in the fight for second. Griffin still 4th and Hughes 5th. It's Dean Forward in the Texaco Cosworth in 6th place. Only a few seconds to go. I think we may get the checkered flag this time. Clock counting down to 0 as AJ Owen comes towards it. No, we do not get the checkered flag. They are going to run one more lap. I was wrong. That's the last thing that Ray West possibly wanted to see, because he wants second overall. Let's put a back marker between himself and Preble there. Great to have Gary Preble on board, the king of Castlecombe. AJ Owen coming up to lap a couple of the Jaguars. It's Michael Seaborn in 20th place ahead of him in the Castrol XJ40. That's him through. Now David Howard, the big XJ12. Winner yesterday in the Pre83 touring car, sponsored by Shell Oils. SimplyServiced Pre03 victory is going to go to AJ Owen. Laser Tools Pre93 to Ray West in the number 9 BMW. These three well clear of David Griffin in 4th. A group of back markers here. 91, that's Vic Hope, and the 108 of Jamie Primet, both Brands Hatch regulars. And coming towards the checkered flag to complete 13 laps. 1, 2, 3, the Buckinghamshire driver AJ Owen starts his season in perfect fashion with a victory here at Silverstone. AJ Owen wins it. Second place over the line, Ray West, he wins the Pre93 split, and Gary Preble takes 3rd in his Honda. 4th overall and 2nd Pre93 is David Griffin. 5th and 3rd of the Pre03s, Don Hughes. Owen, West and Preble all win their classes. And these Hondas are still at it further back. Dan Thackeray in 291, 169 Ross Craig. That's for 10th place behind James Ram in the XJS. Don Hughes has already crossed the line for 5th position. It'll be Dean Forward in the Sierra 6th, Russell Dack 7th, and it'll be Andy Cripps coming through for 8th. Ross Craig down the inside, he's got him into the last corner. Ross Craig is through past Dan Thackeray. Good finish for the Sideways Honda. And he takes 10th place behind James Ram. Peerless is 12th behind Thackeray. The top 15 should be completed by Phil Wright, Jamie Thwaites, and Ian Bauer from the back of the grid takes 15th. He'll be one to watch in race 2 because the second race grid is set by the result of race 1. And it's good to note in that race as well, we're just waiting to see, I don't think we had any retirement. Oh, Jamie Thwaites, the Alfa Romeo, pulled into the pits on the last lap. So it looks like he was the only casualty. Yes, everybody else has gone the distance. Great stuff, no attrition in our Laser Tools Pre93 and SimplyServiced Pre03 touring cars. check out the results in a second of the race we've just seen. Next up, it's the VW Racing Cup and TCR, but it's AJ Owen who takes the win by just over 3.5 seconds ahead of Ray West, who wins the Pre93 split. Gary Preble, a class-winning third in his Honda. David Griffin fourth ahead of Don Hughes. Then Dean Forward in the Sierra 6 wins his class, as does Russell Dack in the BMW in 7th. Andy Cripps, James Ram and Ross Craig round out the top 10. James Ram winning Class A of the Pre93s. Then Dan Thackeray in 11th ahead of John Peerless. Phil Wright, Cameron Tunio and Charles Kopok rounding out the top 15. Behind them in 16th was Ian Bowers BMW ahead of Kerry Lewis in his Honda. Jamie Thwaites in the Alfa Romeo classified in 18th in the end ahead of David Howard and Michael Seaborn. Then David Nixon, Vic Hope, Ben Mason, Jamie Primmett, the Clio of Frank Pettit, Andy Sheraton, Mark Finney, Steve Barber from the back of the grid, Jake Margulies and John Hillier in the BMW estate. 30 cars going the distance in our classic touring cars. Well, let's head down to Parc Fermé in a moment. You can see the teams coming out onto grid for the Maximum Networks VW Racing Club, incorporating the Goodyear Touring Car Trophy and TCR UK. This is going to be a good one next up. Marshall's heading out onto grid, doing Sterling service as always. And we can now head down into Parc Fermé, where Steve Jameson is talking to a couple of the drivers.
AJ, a huge congratulations. You seem very, very pleased after that one as well. You should be. It looked like an amazing race to be a part of.
Yeah, you know, you got two absolutely awesome drivers in Ray and Gary Preble. I think both of them have been racing the whole long in their life. So Ray sold his car, that's his old car, to Graham, and he's raced it this weekend. So to be with Graham, with Ray round here in his old car, that's great. But that was a brilliant race, and I haven't had a race like that in years. So we didn't touch. That's what it's all about. So it was a fantastic race.
Well, you talk about not having a race like that in years. We've not had a race like that in enough time anyway, hasn't it? It feels like the longest winter ever. How nice is it to be back racing this weekend in the sunshine at Silverstone? Yeah,
I mean, we didn't actually know if we would be racing this year. We're sponsored by my work, which is ASM Water Recycling, and so we didn't really know, because of the whole COVID thing, if we would be racing. So, you know, huge thanks to them. If it wasn't for them, we actually wouldn't be here. Yeah, it's been tough with COVID, but it's given enough time to do a few little modifications to the car. Nothing different, just bits we bought that didn't fit. We've put them on, and it's paid dividends.
And what, if anything, of that race surprised you, or did it go as expected, as smoothly as it looked?
Races never go smoothly, that's for sure.
It looked it from our position, but obviously different to you.
The biggest thing is getting the thing off the line. When you're next to rear-wheel drive cars, you hear it in touring cars, oh, rear-wheel drive, but it's so hard to get a front-wheel drive car off the line to a rear-wheel drive car. To sort of be leading at the end of the first lap was a bit of a surprise, and it was like, oh, okay, and then Ray come past you down the straight, and it was like, right. And I've got Gary chopping at my heels, and there's something like over 100 kilos difference between my car and his car in weight. But he's on a treaded tyre, I'm on a slick tyre. So yes, it's multi-class, but as you can see, used slick tyre, lightweight car, heavy car. What a fantastic race, and fingers crossed, race 2's more of the same.
We wish you all the very best, mate.
Cheers,
congratulations.
Thank you.